Omar is igniting new outrage, saying she doesn't regret comments that her critics have called anti-Semitic, while suggesting her Jewish colleagues in the House aren't, quote, partners in justice. All this after she compared the U.S. and Israel to terror groups. She later said, quote, I was in no way equating terrorist organizations with democratic countries with well-established judicial systems. That walkback did not last long, because here's what she's saying now.
Do you regret these comments?
I don't. I think it's really important to think back to the point that I was trying to make. Obviously, I was addressing Secretary of State Blinken.
Wow.
She was then asked about her past controversial comments, there's a lot more, where she said this, it's all about the Benjamins, implying lawmakers only support Israel because of money. In a 2012 tweet where she claimed Israel hypnotized the world, and whether she could see why that would be offensive.
I've welcomed anytime, my colleagues have asked to have a conversation, to learn from them, for them to learn from me. I think it's really important for these members to realize that they haven't been partners in justice. They haven't been, equally engaging in seeking justice around the world.
Guy, let's rewind to that first controversial comment equating the Taliban and Hamas with the United States and Israel. Initially, when only a dozen Democrats in the House came and condemned her comments, only 12, she called them Islamophobic. Then the walkback came, and now the double down. It's amazing.
I actually appreciate the fact that Ilhan Omar is telling the truth. Now, she doesn't regret this. She doesn't regret what she said. She meant it. And she's doubling down because, as you say, Kaylee, so few people in her party will actually in a meaningful way rebuke her various outbursts of ignorance or bigotry. So she's emboldened. And then notice that she calls out specifically and singles out as not sufficiently devoted to the cause of justice a group of Jewish lawmakers within her own party. I think that might come as news to a lot of those lawmakers. I'm sure that they view it as a smear. But once again, Ilhan Omar has some interesting thoughts about Jewish people, and I can't say I'm terribly shocked.
Not shocked either, Tommy. So it's more than just a double down. As Guy points out, she attacks her Jewish colleagues and blames them.
Well, the reason that this continues to happen is because there are no consequences for any members of the radical left, particularly those members of the squad. They are running the show. We saw Nancy Pelosi kind of give a limp response when this controversy was ignited a few weeks back, and it really was nothing more than maybe a slap on the wrist, if that. But when there are no consequences, and they know that they can get away with whatever they want to do, and they are running the show, they've got the Biden administration wrapped around their fingers, does anyone really expect them not to say these things? They're going to do whatever they want to do, and they also weaponize the word racism and Islamophobia to their advantage, making them untouchable. We've created this culture, and now we've got to live with it.
Yeah, Harris, and it's beyond even the anti-Semitism. It's her saying 9/11 is some people did something. It's hate. She is full of hate and rage and making fun of people for saying Al-Qaeda in a menacing tone.
So you're Nancy Pelosi, and you think you're running things. And for the most part, I guess she is. She's in the House. They've got the majority. But then this woman actually has the audacity to say on national television, I lied when I clarified. That's what she means.
Exactly.
I mean, she should have been that interesting when she said it, because that rhymed at least. But that's what she's saying. She lied to the Speaker of the House. They had pressured her. She knew she had to come out with some kind of clarification. She did, and now we know that she lied when she made it. Well, where is the woman in charge now? Where is Nancy Pelosi to say, come back to my office and tell me why you lied to me when you clarified? Clean it up again, and I guess if you do enough cleaning up of aisle 7, you can get a job somewhere with a mop. Because she's going to need something. Voters, I don't know, I think they're paying attention.
That's a great question. Where is Nancy Pelosi? Another great question raised by the Republican Jewish Coalition. We can pop it up on the screen. They said this: will U.S. Jewish Dems join us in calling out Ilhan Omar for saying Jewish members of Congress aren't partners in justice? Or is the JDCA and Hallie Sofire going to show us all once again that they are frauds? Good question, Emily.
Right, no one is surprised by this continued exhibition of bigoted, hateful rhetoric by Ilhan Omar. The real surprise is the lack of accountability demonstrated by her own party and the White House. Remember, the House Democrats failed to even pass a clean
clean-cut bill that just condemned anti-Semitism, after which the AP called it an embarrassing misstep. And yet, remember, they called Marjorie Taylor Greene's reckless, irresponsible anti-Semitic rhetoric. Well, what do you call this? Just this week, however, 4 Jewish House Democrats wrote a letter to the president begging for him to command a united front against anti-Semitism in this country.
What was the president's response?
Crickets thus far, and remember, it took him almost 4 months to even nominate an ambassador to Israel. So the only message that I see is one of a lack of prioritization by the White House, and clearly not a united front against anti-Semitism, especially out of the mouth of Ilhan Omar.
Amazing. A Democrat Party here in the United States of America that represents half the country can't even condemn anti-Semitism. Coming up, Olympian Gwen Berry not backing